¿Sabes? Creo que estoy olvidando algo importante.
Bueno, si hubiera sido importante no lo habrías olvidado.
Cierto.
Do you guys remember the PlayStation Vita? That was the thing. I'm not saying that it was a terrible console, it's just Sony didn't give it enough support to keep it alive. It still had a decent amount of good games, and some of them eventually found their way onto the PS4. And there is one that has had my interest for so long. Gravity Rush.
I don't know why I was interested in this game in the first place. I remember playing a demo at Target, so I thought it was...
No, güey, tienes que admitir porque la protagonista es bonita. Y ya vete de la casa, llevas como 15 horas aquí.
So, Gravity Rush. What do we know about this game? It was directed by the same guy who directed the first Silent Hill and the Siren series. It was originally conceived as a PlayStation 3 title, but development shift to the Vita once the development team saw the potential in the console. The game released, people liked it, and eventually got a remaster on the PS4, becoming one of the most expensive games I've seen on the console. What kind of game is Gravity Rush? Keiichiro Toyama described it as a gravity action game, with some open world elements thrown into it. In this game, we take the role of Cat, and her mystical cat that gives her the power to control gravity around her. This is the story of a young woman with no memories, trying to find her place in the world, make new friends, and help those in need, while having an incredibly adorable personality. Oh my god! As you have guessed already, this game's main gameplay mechanic revolves around manipulating gravity. This allows Cat to fly, and to throw grannies into the abyss. Flying is not exactly the most groundbreaking mechanic when it comes to games, but Gravity Rush has an innate advantage in how natural the flying controls feel. You stand in midair, choose the direction you want to go, and you'll fall towards that. The reason of why this game shifts to the Vita is because Toyama wanted to take full advantage of the console's gyroscope, and you know, I don't mind. When it comes to motion controls, I think the gyroscope is one of the best features they brought to the table, and thanks to this the controls of Gravity Rush feel very fluid and responsive. Flying through the skies of Hexville, making my own way from point A to point B, the city was a joy in its own right. The best comparison I could think of was the Spider-Man game from 2018. What's the thing you do the most in that game? Swinging around! But because of how good that gameplay mechanic is implemented, traveling never becomes a dull routine. That's how I felt with Gravity Rush and its flying. Of course, flying is not the only thing the game has to offer. Thanks to the main enemies, the Nevi, Cat will find herself in numerous fights, which leads us to the combat. Cat is perfectly capable of executing normal kicks on the ground, but when she uses her abilities, she can perform much more powerful kicks in the air, or grab nearby objects to throw at enemies. And here's where things get kinda shaky. The combat in this game is not terrible, but it gets repetitive later on. Okay, how do I explain it? In this game you have 4 alternatives to attack: combat on the ground, throwing objects, use special attacks, and the gravity kick. Fighting on the ground is an okay alternative. It gets the job done, but only with the most common Nevi. This inevitably will become something you won't use very often, because the grand majority of the battles on the second half of the game take place in the air. Throwing objects is extremely unreliable and imprecise. The stasis field that you use to pick them up is ridiculously small, and your projectiles break at the smallest impact with any other obstacle. The specials. They can really rack up some serious damage, but you can only execute them when you feel a certain bar, so unfortunately, you won't be relying on these very often. So if we eliminate these 3 from the equation, all that is left is the gravity kick, your most reliable source of damage. If 3 of your main combat mechanics are unreliable, what do you get? A combat system that eventually will worn out and at times get annoying. I can respect the game for having a wide variety of enemy designs, but that is not always a good thing. The bosses are really fun, I'll just get that out of the way. But if we go back to the Nevis, you see, they can only be defeated by striking their cores. And luckily, the gravity kick has a magnetic effect that draws you towards them. And that's great! You don't have to worry about being 100% accurate. But later Nevis become a pain to fight, because of their massive bodies. Some of them move so much that they can even block your kicks by accident, forcing you to constantly look for different angles, and those battles can drag on for more than they need to. But hey, don't get the wrong idea. This is not a combat system devoid of any emotion, and as I said, the specials can truly cause an Armageddon and using them feels great. There's also a sense of satisfaction in aiming cat towards an enemy, build up momentum with the kick and BOOM! That feels really good, especially when you get a better feel of the controls. And if you collect precious gems scattered throughout the world, you can upgrade Cat's abilities and make the tedious battles much more tolerable. Just don't be an idiot like me who didn't realize you could also upgrade your battle properties till the second half of the game. And okay, call me crazy, I can't believe I'm about to say this is a positive thing. It helps that the game is pretty short. Even when you take into account the extra challenges and the scarce amount of DLC side quests, the game at most will last you around 10 to 15 hours to beat. So with that in mind, what made this game capture the attention of many? Well, I can't speak for everyone in a general sense, but if I put this from my own experience, I really love the world of Gravity Rush. Its setting, characters, the story. This is one of those games that disguises itself in a simplistic nature, but the deeper you delve in, soon you'll realize things are not as they seem. And that's what I found so appealing about the game. The gameplay was fine, and even though near the end it was getting repetitive, I was hooked the entire time, dying of anticipation for what will come next. The world was ridden with mysteries, and every revelation just brought up more questions, and each new area was a playground to explore. And despite being an 80 beta game, Gravity Rush still manages to look damn good. With a cel-shaded art style combined with a very odd mix between French comics and Japanese manga that works surprisingly well. And character design is really appealing. I especially love how even the NPCs have a unique feeling to them, thanks to how well done their portraits are. If only I could say the same about their character models. And I don't know if this was done because of the limitations of the beta or because of the inspiration of the art style, but the menus and most of the stories told throughout comic strips, and I really like that decision. It looks gorgeous, fits perfectly with the setting, and it's adorable. Gravity Rush is a game that has been under my radar for years, and the end result did not disappoint. Despite its shortcomings, I still had a great time with it. I really recommend you to try it out. Your best options to play it are the PlayStation Vita, but good luck finding someone who still owns a Vita, and of course, just go for the PS4 version. You don't even need me to tell you why. Better resolution, better frame rate, all the DLCs already included with the game, even an artwork gallery if you're into the ¡Cat en México! ¡Cat en México! ¡No manches! ¡Hay arte oficial de Gravity Rush en México! Oh, sorry. You also get an extra gallery if you're into ¡Raven con sombrero! ¡Raven con sombrero! Ah! Just warning you, this game's physical release is... Whew, yeah. So go for the digital version unless you got a liver to sell. Gravity Rush was an interesting experiment, but one they pour a lot of love in. Just look at the trailers, the commercials! At the time they really wanted Cat to become a huge face for the company. PlayStation Battle Royale, Little Big Planet, different golf games, it's obvious they had a lot of faith in this product.
But did it work out? That's a kinda complicated matter. But look, at least we got a sequel, and this is... Oh! How about I tell you next time with Gravity Rush 2? Now if you excuse me, I got work to do.